What's up, everybody? Welcome to the How to Lead podcast, a conversation designed to help you develop yourself and those around you. My name's Adam, joined by Clay. Clay, let's just catch up for a second. You been anywhere cool? Gone to any cool cities lately?
Not cool. Well, I don't want to criticize.
You just stepped in a bear trap. Should we just start over?
Yeah, nowhere cool. I mean, I was in Oklahoma City last week, but
no, that's
no,
a great city. I've heard great things.
I was down in Norman, speaking to the athletic department at the University of Oklahoma. That was a really fun experience. And what was interesting, it was Joe Castiglione's last department-wide meeting. Joe is he's been their athletic director for the last 20-something years. He's won 27 national championships.
That's a lot more than me.
Me, same. So that was, he was it was so interesting to get to be around him. I asked him, I'm like, Joe, what is it, man? What's the secret? And he said, you hire great coaches, and then I tell them when you start working for me, I start working for you. And he said, that's the secret, is you got to hire great people, and then you work your tail off to help them be successful.
Wow. Listen, there's an episode right there. That's it. Thanks for listening to the How to Lead podcast. We'll see you guys next week. No, that's a great one. That's really cool. I like that.
How about you? Anything interesting?
Utah. I love going to Utah. I think it is one of the most underrated states. It's beautiful. It's clean.
Salt Lake City.
The people are great. Yeah, Salt Lake City, Ogden, which is just a little north of there. So
okay.
We've got a client out there, and man, it has been so fun to go out there and get to know that city. Took my family out there with me over the summer. So been there.
For you.
This to next week. I'm heading out to Savannah. That'll be fun. So
Savannah's a cool
Savannah.
City. Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, that's great.
So it'll be good. So. All right.
No,
this
the
is
Pride Lands, the savannas in Africa. That was
yes. No, that's what I meant to say. Yeah. Took my son to Phoenix for a golf tournament last weekend, and that was nice and hot. But desert golf is cool. It was fun to watch.
That's awesome.
So, okay, here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, well, you set it up because it came from a coaching call that you were on.
Yeah.
That I thought was great. And so what was the story? Because this happened recently.
Yeah, I don't do, maybe 5 or 6 times a month, I end up on a call with somebody who has said, hey, would you coach me, right? Which I don't. I had a coach. I love the idea of coaching, but that's not something that I feel best at. I feel best at standing in front of an audience and doing some kind of keynote talk. But I try to be helpful with it when the opportunities come. And a lot of times you get on these calls and the person's like, man, I'm sorry, this was next on my calendar. I don't really have a lot to talk about. So then you just find yourself asking I usually just ask, well, what have you bumped into lately that's difficult?
That's right, yeah.
So I asked that simple question to start this conversation, and the guy goes, oh, man, I haven't really even thought about this, but I've had the last couple one-on-ones with people that work for me. I find myself, I need to tell them something that they're not aware of, that they need to be aware of. Yeah. And I can sense they don't want to know. And I don't know how to tell them without blowing up the relationship and crushing their soul.
Yep.
So I thought, hey, Adam, seems like we need to spend some time thinking about it and do a podcast.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, by the way, I think this is a little hack for you and I to find good episodes that our audience is going to like. Is just what in these coaching calls, without obviously divulging personal information and keeping confidentiality there. Because typically when somebody's asking a question, there's a lot of people that have that question. And that could be, we need to go fishing from that pond more and asking that question more. Because I think you're exactly right. I mean, this seems to be a real felt need. I am amazed at how many times in coaching I'm just helping somebody figure out how to say what no one else will say, how to say what needs to be said.
Yeah.
And it can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. And I think some of that, it's interesting. I coach one guy who is from Eastern Europe, where the culture where he grew up is a lot more direct and a lot more blunt. And he has no problem with this. But because he does that here in the West, he runs into different issues, which is, hey, you kind of say too much sometimes. And it's really interesting. I think especially for leaders here in the States, we have such an emphasis on being polite.
Well, particularly in the South, or maybe even Nebraska, another state where people are just really nice.
Yes, yes. And it's that old adage in our culture, right? If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
That's right.
It just is not good leadership sometimes because you
No.
got to say what needs to be said. So, well, let's talk about why this matters, because I think, there's a lot of people that deal with this.
Yeah, I think if you're listening to this, my guess is I hope you'll find it relevant. I would imagine you will. But this is if you're a boss and there's something you got to tell somebody that works on your team. If you got a colleague that, hey, they continue to do this one thing that gets in the way of your ability to get work done. Sometimes it's the boss, and that's even more difficult when there's an authority differential there, right? But I think why it matters, that's a great question. Why does it matter? Right? It matters because awareness is the on-ramp for growth. It's always it is the foundation upon which every virtue rests, that you have to have. Any progress that's made has to start with awareness. And when someone is unaware of something that you're trying to help them become aware of, it just makes it so much more complicated.
I know, yeah. Like the fallacy in self-awareness is everybody's just going to figure it out on their own. Like it's self. They just figured it out. They journaled and they came to a conclusion. And that just doesn't happen. No. Sometimes the self-awareness comes because somebody who's not you told you something.
That's right.
And you suddenly go, oh, okay, yeah. You look in the mirror and you start to see it as well. So you're right. It is. It's like you go to anything from emotional intelligence to just maturity. Most leaders who have some level of success, many of them have a higher than average self-awareness. And then with that, just to be clear, it's not self-awareness of like, I know everything I'm awesome at. Usually it's, I know where my valleys are.
Yeah.
And I know my spikes and my valleys, but I really know those valleys. And with that self-awareness, hopefully comes a really healthy amount of humility of just knowing I'm not nearly as great as my dog thinks I am.
Yeah. I think about Daniel Goleman. I mean, I've had seasons where I've read a lot of Daniel Goleman, who wrote, I think of him as the godfather of emotional intelligence, EQ, right? Yeah. And he says, hey, self-awareness is the foundation of all emotional intelligence, that it's the place where it begins. You can't have EQ until you have awareness. You can't have any change until you know exactly where you are. Lencioni wrote that book, The Ideal Team Player. It's still such a simple, excellent framework on how should we measure, grade, evaluate, recruit the ideal team player. You got to have these three attributes. They've got to be hungry. They've got to be humble, as you mentioned, but they got to be smart. And smart, not intelligence, but smart meaning people smart, which again, it begins with, I know my proclivities. I know that I have a propensity to talk too much in a meeting, or I know I have I want to give too much detail whenever I'm sharing something I'm doing right now. You got to know, you got to be aware of that.
Yeah. And so a lot of times if somebody just missed the introduction and they just jumped right into this episode, they would go, oh, I know what Clay and Adam are going to tell me to do. They're going to tell me I need to get feedback, and I need people to tell me when I've got spinach stuck in my teeth. And you're right. There is a part of that would be the easy way, or that's usually the most common application to this idea of we need self-awareness. What we're talking very specifically about is you've got somebody on your team who is not yet self-aware, and it is now on your shoulders to help them become self-aware. And so let's just recognize there's an inherent tension in that conversation, because you're going to interrupt their day. This is going to be something that, as your friend said, it's going to ruin them, is the lie
crush
or
their soul.
The story we tell.
Right.
Yeah. Very dramatic.
No,
that's what we think.
Yeah, you're right. It's if we were just talking about, how to be the best employee, how to be the best kind of leader, then we would say, okay, don't make people push this information on you. Go pull it. Be a curious person that's constantly going and pulling, what do I not know about myself, right? But you're exactly right. These are the situations where they're not pulling. You are having to push. You're going to have to walk into the meeting, sit down in the meeting, and tell them something that feels, if I had to put some words on the tension, it's going to feel awkward, it's going to feel unclear, and it's going to feel risky, right?
Yeah. Which not many of us wake up and just go, whoo,
you know what I want to do
that's
today?
A Monday. I love it. I've got the awkward, unclear, risky conversation today. I'm super excited about that. So for me, I will to me, sometimes this just it all just feels so subjective.
Yeah.
And I will hide behind the subjectivity, and I will try to just go, oh, it's me, it's me, it's me. It's just me. I'm peculiar. I'm weird. I'm an ex-CPA. I just like having things a particular way. I will blame myself for weeks or months before and try to hide behind that conversation, because sometimes it is subjective. And I think we just need to recognize that. And that can be a great attitude to go into this conversation of going, I might be wrong, but I got to have this conversation and try to get some more information about it, right?
Yeah, I think the reason why I chose those 3 words, I mean, you just reiterated it, but it is awkward, right? Because you're worried about what if I offend them, but you've got to get over that. You got to just say, hey, I care more about the person than I do about being liked by this person, and it might be awkward. It is unclear. Yep. You're right. It feels subjective. You feel like, am I being too picky? Is this something I should just sweep under the rug? Or is this something that really gets in the way? You got to do the work ahead of time to ask yourself that. And then I would say it is risky, but Kim Scott wrote that great book, Radical Candor. She said, I'll never forget reading that one simple line. She said, care personally, challenge directly. I think that's the thing that mitigates the risk, right? Is that, there is a chance that they're going to hate you forever. And they're going to start making, dolls out of you and poking your dolls with needles to try to inflict pain upon your life. But if you care personally for them, then you do have a greater opportunity to challenge directly. Yeah. I think those two sides of it, they have to be a part of it. You have to care personally.
Really do.
If you want to be able to challenge directly.
Yeah, which is a takeaway. For some people, they're going to sit there and just go, listen, you have put no deposits into that account relationally. And so that would be the first step, is to let them know you care, so then you can make a withdrawal every once in a while. So, all right, let's just talk about how to do it. We've got some, like good ex-pastors that we are, we've got some alliteration with some C's, right? We got some words that start with the letter C.
That's right.
And
you got to have a framework. Oh, what?
Totally.
You don't have a frame. Who are you without a framework? Well, you just don't hit pause on this podcast, because we got a framework. All right. On how to help somebody become aware of the thing they don't want to become aware of.
Well, go through it then, big boy. The 4 C's of awkward conversations are what?
Yeah, or the 4 C's of awareness conversations, if you want to add that to it, sure. I would say number 1, you got to check yourself, right? You start there. You got to start with, and that's, you just said it. You said, I might not have made enough personal deposits to be able to have this conversation.
That's
now
good.
That doesn't, I hope that will not deter you from ever having the conversation, but it might mean you might not need to have it today. But it requires you to look in the mirror and go, why do I want to bring this? Do I need to get this off my chest? Because if so, I probably need to second guess that, right? Yeah, am I really trying to help them? Am I trying to fix them? Am I trying to punish them? What's the real motive here? You got to check yourself.
Yeah. By the way, you're saying check yourself. Can I just give a dumb aside?
Before
you wreck yourself, right? So we get it. We know a lot of people have already thought that. So, all right, I'm on a flight recently. 3 middle-aged women clearly have been drinking before and during this flight, and we're having a lot of fun and being very loud. And one of them, when we're leaving the plane, I'm standing there in the aisle, and she walks out of the aisle, says something about checking bags. One of her girlfriends said something about checking bags, and she just looked at me and she goes, "You better check yourself before you wreck yourself." And then she just walked away, and the girls just cackled the whole time down the aisle. And I was like, I can't believe that just happened. I don't even know if that was the right use of that phrase. But anyway, so when you're saying that, I'm being reminded of this traumatic experience that I had with that.
You will wreck yourself.
But you got to do it. You got to do it.
You will wreck yourself.
Here's what I would say on the check yourself. Like for me, one thing, and maybe it's just my personality, I know if I'm too excited to go into this conversation, it usually goes horribly wrong.
Great.
So when there's a little bit of trepidation,
I can't wait to say
I know,
this.
yeah.
You're like,
I'm about to.
Yeah.
This is going to be great self-awareness for them.
Unload. Yeah.
That usually doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And so if I'm a little bit more like, okay, this is going to be like a little nervous, I like to have some nerves. That to me lets me know my heart's in the right place.
Yeah. That's really good. Number 1, check yourself. Number 2, we got to create safety, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be a safe conversation. It can't feel like an attack. I love this. This is a quote from, do you remember the book Crucial Conversations?
Yeah,
this is a classic. 20-year-old book that sold millions of copies, but I grabbed this line from Crucial Conversations. People don't get defensive because of the content. They get defensive because they feel unsafe. Mic drop. Right? I mean, that's so true that I'm convinced you can say anything to anyone if you say it in the right way and if they feel safe with you, right? And so you really, you got to figure out, what do I need to do to create safety for this conversation?
That's good. That's good. Yeah. And so, I mean, a really easy way to do that, again, if you're a little nervous going into it, that's going to certainly bring that tone into it. But I think like just the intent declaration on the start of, hey, this may be a hard conversation. My intent behind this is to help. I don't think I've got all the facts. I'm going to say something that may sound a little out of the left field at first, but just hang with me. There's somewhere I want to go with this. You know, it's not compliment sandwich, but it's close. I mean, if you can start with an affirmation, which is like, and here's a really great one. I value this working relationship and I want it to continue to get better, right? That is like, hey, I'm for us and I'm for this working relationship, and this is just a little maintenance conversation that we need to have. So I don't know. Those are some things that I think can help create that sense of safety.
I think about one of the hardest meetings of feedback that someone has ever had with, or it was the hardest one for me. It was the most agony. I mean, I still daydream about how awful it was for me. Somebody, a manager, a boss was giving me feedback about some speaking that I had done. And I look back on it now, and even thinking about it in this moment, I think, gosh, if he would have just said at the beginning, I don't know many communicators better than you. And as good as you are, I feel so motivated to help you get even better.
Yeah.
If he would have said that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. And maybe he's going, well, I can't say that. That's not true. If he would have said, what can you say? If he would have said, hey, I think you're really good at doing this, or I think you can be really good at doing this, and I want to help you. Yeah. Even that, it just would have, but there was none of that. It was just like, I mean, it just made me feel like I wanted to quit. It made me feel like I don't ever want to do that again. You know, it
That's
did.
Right.
It felt like it felt like he, in a sense, just, rocked my soul with the feedback, right? And you're like, this creates safety. It's incredibly important.
Yeah. My buddy, our friend, Jonathan Pecluda, when we were giving feedback for speaking, he would always say, before you give the details, you need to frame it up with a score of 1 to 100. And what he was trying to do was that, so if you were like, hey, I thought that was an 85, at least you let the person, that was kind of an affirmation.
Yeah, you're like, it wasn't an F, even though I'm going to give you the parts
there might
that
be
I underlined
19
in red.
things.
Yeah, that's right.
19 things. So from a helping people with self-awareness perspective, we got to figure out a way to give them that score. Like,
that's good.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
This is great. We're polishing. Because here's the fact of the matter, and like you and I talk about this I'm sure we share this with our kids as they're playing sports. Like, you get to a certain point in your career, like certain people do with their sports, when the coach stops coaching you, they've given up. Yeah. And if you're engaging in this conversation, just the fact that you're having this means you haven't given up on the person.
Yeah, and I believe in you.
And so that's why you're doing this. You're not doing this just to make your life more miserable. Yep. So anyway, okay, so we've got check yourself. We've got create safety. This third one is this idea of connecting the dots. I like this. I know we've talked about this before, but unpack that.
Well, we have to help people understand how that behavior is getting in your way, right?
Yeah.
You over-explain. You're always a little bit late. You tend to fudge the details. You have a real hard time when someone challenges you or disagrees with you. And therefore what? And that does what? What is the impact of that, right? I think about that. You gave us probably, it was over a year ago when we did that series on bosses are out, coaches are in, and you delivered this 3 IQ system for giving really difficult feedback. And one of the I's is impact, right? What is the impact of this the incident or the thing. In this case, it's what is the impact of the thing that you're unaware of? How is it getting in your way? How is it impeding your ability to grow as a leader or become the best kind of leader that we know you can be? So that's the way I see connecting the dots.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most crucial aspects. And as you're planning for this conversation, if you don't have a clear impact, then you're not ready to have the conversation.
Oh, that's great.
And so this is, you bring out the iPhone, you show them the photo or the movie of the incident, and then you say, and here's how this impacted us.
Great.
Or me, or the client, or your teammate. That keeps it focused on behavior and keeps it away from personality. This is where you're trying to get closer to objectivity. So I love that, connecting the dots. And go back and listen to the 3 IQ. We unpack that even more. But
here's a real simple example. Hey, in meetings, I've noticed that you often interrupt. And I probably noticed it because I feel like this happened yesterday when we were in our team meeting. Mm-hmm. My worry for you is that people are going to start to disengage if they experience that more and more. That's it, right? That's helping them connect the dots.
Did you talk to Scott Kadersha? Because he gave me that feedback specifically.
Oh, no way.
And I'll never forget it. No. So, it was very helpful. Very helpful. Okay, so we're going to check yourself. We're going to create safety. We're going to connect the dots. And then we're going to coach more than just correct.
Yeah.
Talk about the nuance there, because I think it's important.
Number 4, coach, don't correct. Again, that series we did, people want somebody in their life that's going to help them grow, not grade their paper, right? I remember the feeling. Right. I used to feel this because we had a multi-site organization, and there was a central team, and I had always worked at one of the campuses. Somebody from the central team would come to your campus, and I just naturally felt like he or she was walking around with a clipboard, that I was getting evaluated, whether or not they wanted to or not. But I think my hope was, I was able to turn the tables, fortunately, and had some perspective to go, is there a chance other people feel that way about me, right? So it was really good to look in the mirror. But if I were able to encourage them, I would probably encourage them to say, hey, don't let people feel like you're grading them. Nobody likes the feeling of being graded, right? Coach, help them know I'm here for your development. I'm not here to assess you and evaluate you and grade you. Would it be helpful if I told you next time I notice this again?
That's right.
How do you see it? Do you think that this could potentially get in the way? That's what great coaches do.
It really does. And it's basically, it's almost like if we go back to the grade analogy, if you said, hey, in that meeting you were an 82, coaching says, and here's the path to 100.
Yeah.
So it's not just 82, good luck. We'll see how hopefully next time you'll get a 91,
Right.
And so that's again, what I like about this is somebody that maybe is a little bit less motivated to have some of these conversations where I can hide behind some fear with some of that. What you've really done with these 4 C's, Clay, is you've given me a way to prepare for these conversations. Like I can specifically check myself on this. I can talk about how am I going to communicate my affirmation? What are the, kind of what's the grade, so to speak, to let them know, hey, this is not a doomsday thing. I can think about the impact through connecting the dots, and then I can think about, so what? How am I going to help them? What do I see as their path towards 100? Man, now I'm ready. And I feel like with even with public speaking, the more prepared you are, the more confident you're going to be in that conversation, and you're going to be ready for, rabbit trails or things that go a little awry.
The response you're going to be ready.
Coming. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
let me give you these 4 C's, and then I want to ask you, what are we missing? What C are we missing? But if you want to have a conversation where you're helping someone become aware of what they're not currently aware of, you got to, number 1, you got to check yourself. You got to create some safety. You've got to connect the dots, and then you've got to coach without correcting. What are we missing, Adam?
To me, as I've alluded to, if fear holds us back sometimes, then the antidote to fear is courage, right? Which is the moving forward despite fear, and it starts with the letter C. So I would say it's courage. There is just, I doubt for many of us, we're never going to feel like having this conversation, as I said in the beginning. And if you do feel like having it, you're probably not in the right frame of mind to have it. And you could make an argument there with that. So I think courage, and for some reason, I always think of Matt Damon's underrated film, We Bought a Zoo, where he just talked about, just the power of 20 seconds of insane courage. right? So just start it. Just start the conversation. Just say, hey, we need to talk about that meeting last Thursday, and just get into it. I'd rather you start clunky and find your legs in the middle of the conversation than just sit there. What you're really doing if you're not having it is you're really, it's like that old thing we used to say about forgiveness. Like if you don't forgive somebody, it's you drinking poison thinking the other person's going to die, type thing. And it just doesn't work that way. That if you're not having the conversation, they're not going to just figure it out. That's your role as a leader.
That's right.
You got to be able to do it.
I would say I was trying to think of, all right, what's the way to wrap all this up? Here's the line that I bumped into. Awareness is a gift. Give it carefully, but don't withhold it.
Ooh.
It's a gift.
That.
Awareness is a gift.
It is.
You have to give it carefully though, because it's a soul, it's a person, there's somebody with a future. But
that's right.
Don't withhold it. The worst thing you can do is withhold it.
Yeah.
It matters so much. So Godspeed. Good luck. Go for it.
Good luck. Good. Go for it. You guys do it
and work it.
And send us your emails on how it changed your life. We'd love to hear it. And but no, this is really good. How to say what no one else will. Helping people see what they don't see. There's the framework. Clay, as always, great stuff. Good to be with you.
You too. See you, Adam.
Well, that's all we got for today's episode of the How to Lead podcast. You can always reach out to us via email. We can be reached at info@howtolead.work. That's info@howtolead.work. Every episode is mixed and edited by the team over at Sound of a Rose. You can learn more about them at soundofarose.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.